March 17, 2023. It began as just another Friday in the Tatuape neighborhood, on the east side of São Paulo. 12-year-old Ana Clara Oliveira woke early for school, a routine as familiar as the morning sun. She slipped into her blue and white uniform for the Professor Antonio Alves State School, grabbed the pink and gold backpack she'd received for her last birthday, and walked out the door at 6:45 a.m. By all accounts from family and friends, Ana Clara was a communicative girl with an easy smile. She was the only child of Márcia Oliveira, a 38-year-old dental receptionist, and Renato Oliveira, a 42-year-old IT technician. Her teachers described her as a bright and sociable student. In recent months, however, her mother had noticed subtle shifts in her daughter's behavior. Ana Clara had become more withdrawn, spending more time on her phone. A sudden interest in makeup and more adult clothing had bloomed, a quiet signal of a changing world Márcia couldn't quite access. That day, the temperature in São Paulo climbed to 29 degrees Celsius under a partly cloudy sky, with forecasts of rain showers for the late afternoon. School security cameras recorded Ana Clara's arrival at 7:10 a.m. The morning classes unfolded without incident until the 9:30 a.m. recess, when she was last seen chatting with friends in the courtyard. At 10:15, when students filed back into their classrooms, Ana Clara was not among them. "We thought she'd gone to the bathroom," her classmate, 13-year-old Juliana Mendez, later recalled. "The teacher was about 10 minutes late, so no one noticed right away that she hadn't come back." It wasn't until 10:40 a.m., during roll call, that her math teacher, Sandra Ribeiro, officially marked her as absent. School protocol was clear. Any student leaving the premises during school hours required authorization from a guardian and had to be signed out at the main office. There was no record of Ana Clara leaving. The pedagogical coordinator, Eliane Montero, immediately tried to contact the girl's parents. Márcia Oliveira was assisting a patient when her phone rang. "I thought it was something simple," she would later recount, her voice trembling with the memory. "Maybe she felt sick. I never imagined my daughter could have disappeared." A frantic search of the school grounds, classrooms, bathrooms, the library, the cafeteria yielded nothing. The first chilling clue came from the security cameras. The footage revealed that Ana Clara had left the school alone at 9:42 a.m., shortly after the start of recess. She had slipped out through a side gate used for deliveries, a spot where surveillance was minimal. Her parents arrived at 11:25 a.m., their faces etched with a panic that was just beginning to set in. After being told of her disappearance, Renato Oliveira rushed home and went to his daughter's room. He noticed her phone charger was missing from its usual spot. A few items of clothing seemed to have been hastily pulled from a drawer. A small makeup bag was also gone. The military police were called at 12:10 p.m., and a missing persons report was officially filed at 2:30 p.m. The lead detective, Dr. Marcos Gomes, immediately ordered the collection of all security footage from the school and the surrounding area. An investigative team was assigned exclusively to the case. "The disappearance of a minor is always treated with the highest priority," the detective stated at a press conference the next day. "The first 48 hours are crucial to finding the person alive." The digital breadcrumbs began to appear. Security footage from a gas station near the school captured Ana Clara walking hurriedly down the street at 9:50 a.m. She was looking at her phone constantly, as if waiting for a message. At 10:05 a.m., another camera, this one from a pharmacy 3 blocks away, showed her getting into a black Volkswagen Virtus. In these initial images, the license plate was unreadable. The investigation gained momentum when Ana Clara's parents handed over her laptop. The browsing history had been recently deleted, but a forensic analysis recovered data pointing to frequent access of a messaging app not installed on the computer. It was called Teen Chat, a platform popular among adolescents for meeting new people, but one that had also been linked to numerous cases of child grooming across the country. She never had permission to use that kind of app, a devastated Márcia Oliveira told police. We always talked about the dangers of the internet, about not talking to strangers. How did I not see what was happening? On the second day of the investigation, March 18th, police obtained a warrant to access Ana Clara's phone data. The device had been turned off since 10:30 a.m. the previous day, approximately 25 minutes after she had entered the black car. Its last registered location was in Belenzinho, a neighborhood adjacent to Tatuapé. The recovered messages were a window into a carefully constructed deception. Ana Clara had been talking to a profile under the name Gabriel 14, who claimed to be a student at a private school. The conversations had begun 3 weeks earlier, quickly evolving from everyday topics to compliments and shared confidences. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Gabriel had suggested they meet in person, promising to take her to a recording studio where his older brother supposedly worked. "This is a classic grooming pattern," explained Detective Helena Moda, a cybercrime specialist brought in to assist. "The predator creates a false identity close to the victim's age, gradually builds trust, and then suggests a meeting." The IP address used by the Gabriel profile was masked by a VPN, but a crucial break came from the physical world. Investigators managed to enhance the security footage and identify the Volkswagen's license plate. The vehicle was registered to Augusto Mendonça, a 27-year-old rideshare driver. He was located and detained for questioning on the evening of March 19th, roughly 54 hours after Ana Clara had vanished. Augusto's initial statement only deepened the mystery. He claimed he had received a normal ride request through the app from a user named Roberto Silva to pick up his niece near the school. According to Augusto, he dropped the girl off at a gas station on the Presidente Dutra highway, where she was met by a man in his 40s with a beard, driving a silver SUV. "She didn't seem scared or forced," Augusto declared in his deposition. "She was talking normally, said she was going to meet her uncle for a surprise outing. I didn't suspect anything was wrong." The rideshare app confirmed the trip, but the user Roberto Silva had created the account just 3 days prior using what turned out to be forged documents. The associated phone was an unregistered prepaid number, activated a week before and deactivated immediately after the ride. The investigation hit a wall when it was discovered that the cameras at that specific gas station had been down for maintenance on the day of the disappearance. But the car's GPS told a different story. The data revealed an undeclared 12-minute stop in an isolated area near the Guarapiranga Reservoir, long before he reached the highway. Confronted with this evidence, Augusto's story crumbled. He admitted to being paid 5,000 reais to participate in the scheme, but insisted his only role was transportation. In his new version, he delivered Ana Clara to 2 men at the reservoir, claiming he had no idea where they took her. "What the driver told us initially was frightening," Detective Gomez stated. "But the truth that emerged was even more disturbing. We are dealing with a possible human trafficking network, not an isolated case." The search immediately shifted to the Guarapiranga Reservoir. Fire department crews, aided by search dogs and drones, scoured the area. An abandoned house located about 800 meters from the GPS coordinate became the focus of the operation. On the 7th day, a pivotal discovery was made. Ana Clara's cell phone was found in a vacant lot near the abandoned house. The battery had been removed and the device had been wiped in an attempt to remove fingerprints. But the forensics team managed to recover a partial print that matched neither the victim nor Augusto Mendonça. Finding the phone was a significant breakthrough, explained forensic expert Dr. Carla Bueno. Even with attempts to erase trace, something is always left behind. In this case, we also recovered partially deleted data from the memory card. Among the recovered files were photographs taken inside the abandoned house. They showed 3 other teenage girls, all appearing to be between 12 and 15 years old. The images, while not explicit, strongly suggested a captive situation. In one photo, an adult man was partially visible, though his face was out of frame. The metadata revealed the pictures were taken between March 15th and 17th, indicating the location was in use even before Ana Clara was taken. One of the girls in the photos was soon identified as Bianca Suarez, 14, who had been missing for 12 days from the nearby city of Guarulhos. Her case had received little media attention, initially classified as a runaway due to family conflicts. The connection between the cases revealed a terrifying, systematic pattern of abduction. A joint task force was formed, uniting investigators from multiple specialized divisions. On March 27th, after 10 days of intensive investigation, a coordinated operation was launched. At 5:30 a.m., police raided 2 locations simultaneously: the abandoned house near the reservoir and a farmhouse in Mariporá, a location identified by tracking phone calls linked to the Gabriel profile. The abandoned house was empty but showed signs of recent occupation. At the farmhouse, however, the operation resulted in the arrest of 3 men and 1 woman, and the rescue of 5 teenage girls, including Ana Clara and Bianca Suarez. The girls were found in a distressing state, dehydrated, disoriented, and showing signs of sedation, but they were alive. They were immediately transported for medical and psychological care at a hospital specializing in treating victims of sexual violence. What we found was a structured criminal operation with a clear division of labor, Detective Helena Mata explained. There were people responsible for the online grooming, others for transporting the victims, and still others for maintaining the captivity and contacting international human trafficking rings. Among those arrested was Ricardo Almeida, 42, identified as the network's primary operator. He was the man behind the fake profiles, including the Gabriel who had lured Ana Clara. His computer contained evidence of contact with criminal organizations abroad, suggesting the abducted teenagers were to be sent out of the country. In the months that followed, the full horrific scope of the criminal network was revealed. The group had been operating for at least 3 years, and it was estimated that more than 30 adolescents had been their victims. Ana Clara remained hospitalized for 2 weeks. In her testimony, given with the help of specialized psychologists, she recounted how she had been manipulated. "He knew exactly what to say to make me trust him," the teenager said. "He knew bands I liked, talked about things that interested me. When he suggested we meet, I wasn't afraid. I thought I had finally found someone who understood me." She described how, after getting into the car, she realized the route was wrong. When she questioned the driver, his answers were evasive. Minutes later, they stopped in an isolated place where 2 men were waiting. She was sedated and woke up hours later in the abandoned house. "I remember fragments of the following days," she recounted. "People coming and going, conversations about documents and travel. I heard them mention Dubai and Thailand. A woman took our measurements for clothes and photographed us several times." The investigation confirmed the organization had connections to international human trafficking networks, primarily in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. False documents were being prepared for the victims, who were to be sent abroad as models or dancers. Ricardo Almeida, the ringleader, had lived for 7 years in the United Arab Emirates and maintained his criminal contacts. He now faces charges that could result in more than 30 years in prison. Rideshare driver Augusto Mendonça, who had initially claimed ignorance of the operation's criminal nature, was ultimately indicted for kidnapping, human trafficking, and the corruption of minors. Subsequent investigations revealed his involvement in at least 4 other similar abductions over the previous 6 months. What the driver initially told us was merely the tip of the iceberg, stated Public Prosecutor Dr. Rafael Brito, the lead on the case. His role went far beyond simple transportation. He was a fundamental cog in the criminal machine. In July 2023, 4 months after the rescue, the federal police, in cooperation with Interpol, launched Operation Fake Profile. The operation led to the arrest of 17 more individuals connected to the criminal network across 5 Brazilian states. It also uncovered links to similar groups in Argentina, Paraguay, and Colombia. For Ana Clara's family, the recovery process has been slow and harrowing. "Our daughter is home, but she's not the same," confessed Márcia Oliveira. "The trauma has left deep scars. We are all in therapy, learning to cope with what happened and trying to rebuild our lives." Renato Oliveira, the girl's father, has since become an activist in the fight against human trafficking and the online grooming of minors. He gives lectures in schools and has founded an NGO dedicated to educating parents and teenagers about the dangers of social media. "The cell phone we gave our daughter for her safety turned out to be the gateway to the nightmare we lived through," Renato reflects. "We can't stop our children from using technology, but we must be far more attentive to the warning signs." Ana Clara's case gained national and international attention, highlighting the growing sophistication of human trafficking and child grooming networks. In August 2023, the National Congress passed Bill 3.1/2023 under an urgent procedure. It became known as Ana Clara's Law, establishing stricter measures for monitoring messaging apps and social networks used by children and adolescents. The new legislation compels platforms to implement more effective age verification and to monitor for potentially dangerous conversation patterns. It also introduced harsher penalties for the crimes of online grooming and the creation of fake profiles for such purposes. "This case revealed grave flaws in our system for protecting children and adolescents," the Minister of Human Rights stated in an official announcement. "We need a joint effort between the government, tech companies, schools, and families to protect our children." Ride-sharing companies also revised their safety protocols. The main change was the implementation of automatic alerts when a trip deviates significantly from the original route, or when unscheduled stops occur, especially on rides involving minors. For the other teenagers rescued alongside Ana Clara, the road to recovery has also been challenging. Bianca Suarez, who had been missing for a longer period, developed severe post-traumatic stress disorder and required prolonged hospitalization. The other victims, whose identities are protected by the court as they are minors, continue to receive psychological counseling and support from the authorities. 1 year after the rescue, in March 2024, the trial of the accused is still ongoing. Ricardo Almeida and 2 other key members of the organization remain in preventive custody, while some of the accomplices with secondary roles have accepted plea bargains. Helping to map out other cells within the criminal network, the case also had a significant impact on the school community. The Professor Antonio Alves State School, where Ana Clara studied, implemented a comprehensive digital education program with specific classes on online safety and workshops for parents. The pedagogical coordinator, Eliana Montero, who had first raised the alarm about the disappearance, became a leading figure in implementing these programs in other public schools. "We need to teach our students to navigate the digital world safely, just as we teach them to cross a busy street," Eliane explains. It's a new form of literacy, as essential as reading and writing in the modern world. For cybersecurity experts, the case exemplifies the evolution of criminal tactics. Online predators are becoming increasingly sophisticated, warns Detective Rodrigo Menezes of the Cybercrimes Division. They study their victims' profiles, learn their tastes, their insecurities, and they exploit those very points to build trust. Ana Clara, now 13, has moved with her family to another city to seek a fresh start. She attends a new school and continues with her psychological treatment. According to her parents, she is slowly beginning to smile and trust people again, though nightmares are still frequent. Every day is a small victory, says Márcia Oliveira. When I see my daughter manage to do something the trauma had taken from her, like going out with friends or using a cell phone without panicking, I know we are on the right path to recovery. The case leaves behind crucial lessons about parental vigilance in the digital environment, the need for open communication channels between parents and children, and the importance of effective public policies for child protection. It also highlights how human trafficking networks have evolved in the digital age, adapting their grooming tactics to new technologies and social habits. This is not a problem for the police alone, or for families alone, concludes Prosecutor Rafael Brito. It is a challenge for all of society, which must recognize that the virtual world holds dangers as real as the physical world, especially for the most vulnerable. If you've watched this far, it's because you care about these cases that scar families forever. Let us know you're here by leaving a comment, so we can see who truly cares about the search for truth. Don't forget to like this video and share it with friends and family. Awareness is the best form of prevention. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, now is the time to join our community, one committed to uncovering the truth behind the most impactful cases in our society.